Anyway. He just wants us to shut up. I'm totally joking. I'm teasing you. Yeah.
Some down in San Diego area, those gardens, like, send a picture, you see the whole skyline and this gray smoke. And
Yeah,
The old fashioned LA haze.
yeah,
yeah, right.
yeah, it's kind of.
Yeah, well, I remember that.
They cleaned it up though,
Mm-hmm.
till now.
So let's see what it says here, if it still has the fires, because it had the warning that we might have to. Oh. No wording on it now for that. So yeah,
Like a lot of those can, somewhat contained, most of small.
it looked like it was trying to go north of the freeway, so that's a bonus. We even have stops at this one pizza place that when we were stationed in Ventura County, I mean, there's no pizza in the world like this pizza, nowhere. I mean, it is that good.
That's a bold statement.
I am here to tell, I've been to Italy, I've been to Spain, I've been to all of these, Greece, all of these places, nothing is like Topper's Pizza. I'm telling you, it
I
is.
think the pizza is a US invention.
It's not, but they're totally different types of pizza than they have over there. They kind of get the burrata cheese and take a chunk off and just like, instead of shredded, and it's delicious, but.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, everyone. Welcome to a regular Goldendale City Council meeting. Shelley, would you please take roll call?
Steve Johnston.
Here.
Leon Wheeler.
Here.
Lauren Meager.
Here.
Ellie Casey.
Absent.
Andy Holmes.
He's absent.
Danielle Clevidence.
Here.
And Mylan Walling.
Here.
Well, thanks. I got contacted by both Ellie Casey and Andy Holm earlier today that they weren't able to make it to the meeting today. Is there a motion to excuse Andy and Ellie?
Yes, so move.
Second.
Motion and a second to excuse Andy and Ellie from the meeting. Discussion? All in favor?
Hi.
Opposed? Well, thanks. So we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, and that's closed public comment. Is there anyone here or on the line that would like to make a public comment on topics to do with our agenda tonight? Nobody? Okay. We'll move on to the next item, and that's the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda and the consent agenda?
I move to approve the agenda and consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second to approve the agenda and the consent agenda. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, great. We'll move on to department reports. And we'll start here on the end with our building official, Robert Thompson.
Oh, I just have a quick report of last year's, what we did in the building department. We did, 116 building permits, nothing between building, mechanical, plumbing. Several different varieties of things, but 116 permits with a project value of about little over $2 million in revenue or not revenue, but worth of work being done. Code enforcement, we did 43 code cases. Which 11 of those are still ongoing into this year. And, so that's where we're at on building and code enforcement.
Great.
For last year. And I would expect that number to go up a lot in our code enforcement this year.
Right. Steve, did you have?
Yeah, could you be more specific about the 11 ongoing ones?
So there's some that are working, that we're working with.
Types.
Well, there's accumulation materials where this just got out of hand. And some of these people are, a couple of them are older, needing time to get rid of their stuff. So if I see, as long as I see something being done, you know, I usually work. So, and then there's some that are just, we're gonna have to go to the next step with on, as far as going through the, not ordinance committee, through the, citizen review board to that step where they'll review it, they can issue fines and just the procedure just laid out in our municipal code, so.
Has the committee, the ordinance committee addressed any of these ordinances relative to fines that are imposed? I know we've talked about this a lot and they're ancient, they're ridiculously low, they don't even come with the paperwork for the most part.
Well, there has been adjustment for that. I mean, the fine itself stays fairly, that's set by the state. If you go into the RCWs, there's a set fine that you can assess. But then there's statutory adjustments, which is basically what the court charges us to do it. And that's what the court gets. So those charges have gone up. So say a fine of $50 is more like $145 after all the fees have been, you know, adjusted through the county. So
Hopefully we're not losing money on that.
we don't make money on citations. It's.
We don't want to
more
lose
of a-
money. I don't expect to make money.
Yeah, it's,
Unfortunately, the state takes a majority chunk of that in your citations.
yeah, it's more of a deterrent, you know, a tool to use that hopefully gets people in compliance.
Right.
The other thing Robert's been working on is the letter that goes out about weed control.
That's why I was gonna ask it.
Yeah,
I've been, going over that language on it, looking at it, rewriting the letter, make it more informative. We used to send out a commercial weed letter annually, and we're gonna include vacant properties, residentials on that. We sent out a kind of courtesy letter early in the year. And I reworked the letter to show more of what our municipal code says we can do if it becomes a fire danger. So, which allows us to go in and take care of it when it becomes a fire danger. So, I reworked that letter, trying to make it more, I don't know, informative to the people that say, hey, this is important. Becomes a fire danger, we will. It said we can do something, I think we will do something. Get rid of that fire hazard when stuff becomes a fire hazard.
All right, because that the fire mitigation part of it, personally, I think is the most important
Oh, absolutely.
part of our weed control. You know, weeds are weeds, and they're unsightly, the aesthetics of them certainly are, but no, the aspects of fire danger are much more important.
and Robert's also been working with our attorney to make sure the language in there works out for when we do have to, when the situation comes up where we do have to go onto the property, that we followed all the due processes on that and are up to par on the legal end.
No, okay.
Well, no. It's rules, the rules and the laws, you know, they are what they are.
I kind of think, I think I mentioned at the last meeting, we have the wild rye, and that's really the potential fire danger. A little history, Steve. How long, have we always, Golden Hills always had wild rye?
Pretty much.
Was that right? Okay. Okay, I just I didn't know so until maybe 20 years ago, but I didn't know it was, 50 years ago or whatever.
Well, over the years, there's been off and on attempts and approaches to mitigating that, and you keep it beat down, you're good. it doesn't get out of control, so you're
Yeah.
not gonna notice it quite so much.
Yeah,
But it
yeah,
was-
they have to keep it clipped, keep it down, right? Yeah,
Absolutely, no, if you keep it clipped, it turns into a pasture,
yeah, right,
it really does.
yeah,
One other thing in my, there's some ordinances I think we need to, when it comes to the weeds and noxious weeds, that we need to address. Our code states we need to have a list of noxious weeds. I don't know that we have that.
You just defer to the
I
county,
think-
not just.
Yeah, I think we'll just need to go to the county and get that list.
Right.
And then get it into our
Just
ordinances.
stated as the current list, because the
Yeah.
county up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. We need to get that in somewhere listed on our, either our website or in our ordinances or somewhere that states what they are. To be able to follow through with that.
When's your guys' next ordinance meeting?
That might be a good one to schedule
Yeah.
one for then.
It would be nice to update the website with information like that. I think that
My sister said that she could come in anytime that you wanted help on your website too. So
yeah, I did change those other,
I went in and I'm like, did I miss this? And so anyway, good. I'm glad that you said you figured it out because I thought I was going crazy that it was updated.
Great. Anything else, Robert?
Sorry.
I think that's it.
Thank you.
good luck.
Yeah.
We'll move on to the Chief of Police, Mike Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, along with Robert's, he calls us all the time when he finds different cars. I know in the last month and a half, we've towed 5 cars and a motorhome off the street that was left up, bad expired tabs over 2 months. So we are working with him to clean up the streets and get what we can out of there. I do, if you want to grab one of those and pass around. That's just an update from caseloads from 2023 and 2024. Just a difference kind of breaks down. There's a graph on the second page. This year we finished with 3,283 calls. That was a 308 call increase from last year, which is half the year. Last few years we've been really shorthanded, so it's kind of quite the workload on the guys. Our DVs, actually domestic violence, went down, which is a good thing. Unfortunately, some of our sex offenses, the couple of the line items in orange there have went up. So quite a bit. Our traffic complaints have raised quite a bit. I mean, in 2023, we're at 224 complaints of traffic, and 2024, we were 334. So that's almost 100 more complaints of traffic. And part of that is with us being shorthanded with officers on this caseload, we don't have the manpower to do the traffic emphasis that we used to. And so that's kind of why those numbers are. We've got a lot more influx of traffic in Goldendale now. The population in town may be close to the same as it has been, but with the rural areas during the day or night, we get inundated with a lot more traffic coming through. And with that, I've also contacted the schools of starting the process and looking into maybe a school resource officer. Working joint with the school for trying to find some funding for that. With the school resource officer, that'd make us another position in summertime. We could bring them back for traffic, summertime events. Because right now with the staffing we have, with the vacations, the trainings that are mandated now with the state that I have to send everybody to, that limits of who's on the street, who's, trying to get back to the 24-hour coverage, which I think, citizens deserve. And so just kind of plugging along. We're looking at, if things keep going progression the way they have been. Next year, we'll probably be anywhere from 500 to 1,000 calls more than what we had this year. And so just the trends and, stats I've been looking at from the last few years, it's just really ramping up depending on what comes in with the new developments, with the new energy stuff at the high school, the hospital, the expansion of all that. It's going to bring in construction. That's not going to be an in-house. I don't see crews here local to be able to build that stuff. If, the other energy stuff that's coming our way happens, then, I just think we need to have maybe a proactive approach to that to be ready, because in law enforcement, it's kind of hard once we're behind. Regain that ground is going to be really hard. And so, other than that, it's been a good last year. We're looking forward to, we're fully staffed now. Other than, their 10th position, it's, was here at one time and now it's not. So I'm going to cry about that as long as I'm here. just because it's, it's hard for these guys to be able to handle the workload, and as it progresses, so we're just kind of doing everything we can to stay afloat, and so we're just looking forward to another year. And I don't know if anybody, a lot of Facebook was on today about we had a warrant arrest out on Columbus, and so we had a fugitive that we've been looking for, and so we arrested Scott Newman, and so warrant, and so that's what all that action was about, so.
Yeah, Steve.
Can't help but notice that the largest segment here is citizen arrest. Or citizen assist.
Citizen assist, yep.
Uh,
That varies from anything from somebody locking their keys out of their house to needing medical assistance. We kind of lump all those together because in our Spillman system, we have probably 200 different categories. And I would have 5 pages, and so we kind of condense anything that involves in that citizen assist from, anytime a citizen calls in a complaint, if it doesn't generate one of these major categories, because we have a NIBR system for the state that does their state stats. So anything that doesn't fall into one of their categories, it lumps into the citizen assist.
Oh, okay.
And so it's, it can be any call that a citizen comes in and says, hey, I need an officer here. Maybe it may turn into a suspicious circumstance. It may be just, they need to know directions somewhere, but it's they're calling an officer has to go respond, and it's tying up our system because we don't tell people no. Maybe, some bigger cities, they will refuse to answer a call. They'll refuse to go. We don't. We answer, whether it could be the most minute. I think my cat's in the tree. I think, there's something on my roof and it might be a raccoon. We show up to all those calls. And so every call for service is an officer's time to go find out what it is. It may not amount to nothing. And the great, 20-minute call, they're done. Sometimes they end up, the officer may be there 3 or 4 hours. And some of these citizen assistants, maybe mental health and crisis. That they want help, that someone's in crisis, they haven't committed a crime, but yet we still respond to deal with that, whether it's transport to the hospital, whether it's getting medics to come get them, or, and so.
Yeah, no, I think that's good policy, Steve. I think we have, when you mentioned about, we get some more workers be coming in, potentially like the, pump storage. The mayor and I, we've briefly talked about it. The junior tax districts will benefit by that, but the city of Goldendale will not. We don't get any. So that's gonna be a burden for the city, because I assume you're gonna wanna say, we need some more police officers. Bob may say, or Robert may say, we need some more help, whatever. And it's gonna be a bigger expense for the city. And I don't know, but I will resolve that, but maybe someday we'll come up with something.
Yeah.
On that same line, I know that I brought it up about a year ago, I think, and was immediately, I didn't know enough probably at that time, but I know that in order to make a larger city limit, expand that, you need to have a certain percentages of households filled and this and that. What is going forward, because like you said, it's been nothing but getting busier and busier here, even though they're on the outskirts of the city limit. Where can we find whether we can make it a larger tax base for the actual city of Goldendale? Yes.
You mean expanding our city limits?
Yeah.
Our urban growth boundary?
Right.
That's it. And
Yeah.
I think it's overdue.
Right.
To revisit
Mhm.
our urban growth boundaries and address that.
Well, last year when I had brought it up, what was brought to my attention was that they are building residential housing south of town, and in the industrial area, and that area is needing to be filled before we can expand, but I haven't seen anything in writing on where it says what we have to do. Obviously, we would have to put it to a vote to the people, because and not just the city limit people, I'm guessing the people that it would affect also. I don't know,
And the
but
county.
right, exactly. So I'm not certain, but is that something that can be looked into?
Yeah.
There is a process.
address the urban growth.
There is, I just don't know it, and I'm sure that there's, you know,
There's a process.
Yeah.
It's been 20 years at least since we've actually actively addressed the urban growth boundary.
so that was one thing. The second thing I wanted to bring up, Mike, Police Chief, sorry, is how many on here are repeat offenders? And I don't want exact numbers, but is the majority of
It's probably 40% repeat offenders.
okay,
You know, that's kind of changed. It used to be, you know, 80% repeat offenders. We've had more, there's more and more contacts that we've made this last year of people, citizens that I've never met before in my life. So we're seeing new faces, new people that are, you know, getting into trouble or that have not been in our system.
are they new to the area?
They're new to the area or they knew somebody here, they're getting brought here, whatever the case is they are definitely new residents. I mean, I just met a gentleman today that I had a trespass from the parking lot that, you know, living in his car and never met him before in my life. And just how he got stuck here in Goldendale, I'm not sure, you know, and so there's a lot more of that transitioning in there, you know, with a different trailer park, for North Columbus, they kind of went through a spell where they evicted a lot of people, that pushed a lot of people out, that there's no housing affordable for them. But yet they filled right back up. So there are numbers there, there's still a population there, you know, I'm not sure how to correctly account for the population of Goldendale of how many people really live in each residence. I know we have a few houses where there's 5 or 6 families in there. You know, we deal with frequently, you know, there's other people, you know, as quick as they move in, we've had, you know, resources for mental health to get people the treatment they need, different treatment places that have, you know, we've sent people in to get that help because we don't have a lot of the
Right.
resources here. And so it's kind of that cycle of, you know, yeah, some people are, let's say lifers, but you know, they've lived here their whole life, they're not going anywhere, and then we have this other just influx of people rotating through. You know, and some stay, some don't, you know, a lot of.
I was just wondering if there was a trend that you were seeing that, you know, might be mitigated somehow and
Definitely a lot more new people than what we've seen before, so.
I see new faces every day.
Yeah.
Is there anything else, Chief?
That's all I got for you.
Okay. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, down to ordinances. Under J1, ordinance 1543. Ordinance 1543 was passed back in November, repealing and replacing the Goldendale Municipal Code, chapter 15.48, entitled Flood Damage Prevention. The ordinance was sent over to our attorney, Quinn Platt, for required signature. Quinn found some changes to the ordinance language that needed to be fixed. So we are replacing ordinance number 1543 with ordinance number 1544. The contents of the ordinance didn't change, just the ordinance language.
I move to rescind the motion that the council adopted at the November 18th, 2024 meeting regarding ordinance number 1543, repealing and replacing the Goldendale Municipal Code, chapter 15.48, entitled Flood Damage Prevention.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I would just ask that for instance like this, where we're changing language, that sort of thing, if we get a marked up version as well as a final version, so it's easier to quickly and intuitively understand what those changes are.
Understood. Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you. Steve.
And my own personal, I went through my 2 cents worth in here after reading through this. This is a blatant example of government overreach, overregulation, and bureaucratic BS. Is what it is, and hopefully there'll be some light at the end of the tunnel regarding regulations coming down through these federal departments. I know we're in a position now where you're up against a wall. We're at their mercy. As simple as that, like it or not, and I don't like it. I don't like it. It's too restrictive. We got a little creek running through our town here. They're treating it like the Mississippi River.
This part of it mostly has to do with insurance.
Well, right, yeah,
Yeah.
it's all connected, absolutely. They make the regulations in conjunction with the insurance companies.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, anybody else? Yes, sir.
Under 1548-120 says a city planner. We don't have a city planner. So you're gonna designate someone who's appointed to administer and implement this chapter? You know.
Our building official is our city planner as well, but we've been working on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been working on this, I talked to Dustin Conroy over at Pioneer today, and he's kind of been our point on this, this one.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? We have a motion and a second on the table, unless there's any further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda.
Lauren, sorry, what did you?
Aye, sorry, it was a late aye.
Okay,
Before Steve, nay.
okay, great. Okay, under council business ordinance, number 1544. Updating GMC 15.48 flood damage prevention. FEMA has been working on the updated floodplain maps over the last couple of years for Klickitat County. As part of that process, they have reviewed chapter 1548 flood damage prevention of the Goldendale Municipal Code for consistency with the requirements. Please find the attached ordinance number 1544, repealing and replacing the chapter.
So moved.
Second,
I have a motion and a second to accept ordinance 1544. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay, thanks. Next, we'll move on. Next item on the agenda, the report of officers. And let's start over here with Steve Johnston.
Just a couple of things. First of all, I'd like to thank Lauren for the effort he's put into his agency, his department, to promote that cleanup on Observatory Hill. And I'd like to commend crews that are doing it, the job they're doing.
Yeah, that's where all the effort is, I'll tell you what, it's a lot of work.
A lot of work. And I would like to follow up on that with, you can't help but notice, I mean, they got their slash piles, you're gonna have your slash piles. There is a lot of solid timber on the ground, and actually some of it's millable. Is there anything that can be done other than just burning it on site? I mean,
They're only burning materials that are like 4-inch minus, everything larger is either cut up in short pieces and scattered, so it's not an ignition risk in the event of a wildfire, but all that large diameter stuff, if it's left on the ground, it's the city's material to do with as they choose. It could be left to just disintegrate, provide nutrients, you could plant behind some of those, on the north side of some of those logs if you wanted to, but that's really outside of the scope of our work, because there would be a cost associated with that without a real conservation benefit, but the city can do whatever they would like with that larger diameter material.
if nothing, excellent firewood. Let's think outside the box a little bit. Maybe a small logging company or something could skid that out close to the road to where a program could be set up to where the public could access it for firewood. I mean, golly.
I could not agree more, and I had brought that up when that was first starting to happen, and I was told that it would be insurance risk. If we, and I think that's silly. I think that we could get WAGAP and have a deal with them or something to help, low income families use the fuel. I think it would be a win-win. I don't know why it was shut down when I had brought it up 8 months ago.
I'll revisit that with city staff and see if we can't work something out about that.
Sure would be. Yeah, I think it'd be worth the effort.
Yeah.
To try to do something with that, because
I have heard that WAGAP used to have a deal with the city somehow with some of the firewood. Well, I don't know if it was with the city or if they just had, people would give them their extra. I don't know, but WAGAP, that's the people I would talk to because they would know who could do it because they had done it before. I
Okay,
just don't know if it was through the city.
Cause there is some of it, some of the larger trees, yeah, it's obvious that, hey, they're best left where they're at for, ecological purposes. But some of that stuff that's been cut down, yeah, it's
And
solid.
it's all pine material, so like the value of putting it on a log truck and hauling it to a mill, you'd be lucky to even cover your hauling costs.
Right, that's,
You know, for someone locally who needs firewood, it might make sense, but the city's gotta have the resources, staff trying to figure out a program, make it fair and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But that's outside the purview of our project, which is just to reduce the fire hazard.
so, well, I'm not surprised, but anyway, thanks again, Lauren.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right, we'll look into
We're,
that.
and we are gonna be pulling off of that project here, actually tomorrow. We'll be back a few times to revisit it, and then we'll probably do more in the following year, but we just need to move on to some other projects. The scale of that is. It's a lot, but they have accomplished a lot of things.
Absolutely, yeah.
If Southern California would have followed those practices, we wouldn't see what we're seeing down there.
That's true, yeah.
Good point. Theon, did you have anything for us?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, thank you. Lauren,
I was just curious, especially since it overlaps with our project, there's a fiber optics project that goes along the road up there on Observatory Hill. Is there a plan for the revegetation of that disturbed soil up there? Cause I would hate for anyone to commingle the projects and think that the conservation district left an open site for invasive
Mhm.
weeds to come in, and so, I just thought I'd visit about. What the plan is to, restore that disturbed ground up there.
It's in the drainage ditch.
Some of it is, yeah, but it's about 20 feet wide, I think, so.
Well, I drove up there today and what I see where they were at, right, today was right in the drainage, just, right off the road.
But I'd hate for it to look like the, well, anyway,
yeah,
I was just curious about.
I'll look into that.
Well, a lot of times when you have a big, empty space where it was torn up, you have Canadian thistle coming in.
Yeah.
And that's,
Almond, knapweed,
yeah,
we see that on the south side of Byers, unfortunately,
Yeah.
so.
Great. Anything else, Lauren?
I don't have a report
Okay,
this year.
Danielle,
Just two things, actually, I was gonna ask you about the Oconee, well, not Oconee, behind the pool and all of that area and on the corner of Third and Pipeline. Where we've talked before about the fencing and stuff, and you said you were gonna look into whether or not you can take the fencing down now or what's going on with the fencing because it had to be up for a certain amount of time, right?
Yeah, Dave and I visited about that a while back, and
Yeah.
I think you were gonna check in with Larry, and it's probably been hard to get a hold of him, but.
Yeah.
You can, if you can't get a hold of Larry, you and I can track it down together and look
Okay.
at city's files and look up the project names and figure out what. That was a mitigation project the city
Right.
hired the district to do to fulfill their mitigation obligations, and the district did it because we had the skills, resources for that kind of wetland mitigation work. But I believe that we're at a, it's been long enough that those fences can probably be pulled down. There's probably some additional work that needs to be done to deal with the site conditions within those fenced in enclosures. But we need to make sure that we're following through and completing the city's mitigation correctly.
Yeah.
From the city standpoint, not from district standpoint.
Right.
Right.
Before we do anything, so.
Okay,
Okay, that was one thing. And the other thing is I wanted to let you know, when you're talking to some of these people about, getting rid of stuff and they just have so much stuff. We are doing the citywide cleanup. We have the date for it already. It's May
Oh.
31st. So if you can tell those people stuff like that, and get their names, you could pass that along to me and I'll make sure that we stop at those specific houses as long as it's within city limits.
You have criteria for that?
No,
I
No.
think there was, in the past, I think there was certain criteria that had to be.
as long as, like, if it's paint or something like that, that is dried paint. If not, it has to be off. Chemicals and things like that have to be off to the side so that we can differentiate. So if they have big yards of stuff and they just want us to haul it and we don't know what's in there, no. So they need to make sure that chemicals and stuff like that, but
If you can give me that information, but certainly pass it on.
sure.
yeah, that's a great
It'd be nice
service.
to have maybe a blurb on the city's webpage, on the front page about that. with
Yeah.
any Requirements like that.
We don't have the flyer yet. I'm waiting. We're working with Republic on it.
Mhm.
And so as soon as we get the flyer from them, we should be able to put this out. And I can, when I get back in a couple weeks,
Yeah.
I'll work on that and see if we can't get a blurb on the website. That's a
Yeah,
good idea.
and maybe the Chamber of Commerce's too.
We did do that, but it was last minute last year. We
Yeah.
didn't get the date we were wanting. We got it early this year and so,
I
hopefully
think
it'll be
there's
good.
ways to put that in with, here's to put notes in our billing.
Mhm.
for-
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that would be ideal.
Something to have to check.
As long as it's within city limits. I don't know how the billing, I don't know if it goes outside of the city. Cause we will only do in the city.
Water services are outside.
Right, so
I mean, there's.
that would be my only concern.
Segregate that out. I think they're separated, anyhow, aren't they?
There's only a handful.
I mean, yeah. We should always put the flag.
Yeah.
Or it can be worded as long as within city limits,
Sure,
you know, I
sure,
mean,
We can put the flyer on our webpage for sure, get the flyer.
Yeah,
okay.
that's wonderful. It's such a great service that,
Well, we need all the help we can get. If people want to help, let me know.
I'm in. May 31st.
Yeah, you did it last 2 years
Yeah.
with us, so thank you for that.
Thank you. Anything else, Danielle?
That's all I had.
Mylan,
Well, Mayor, no, I just, I think we're moving along on a lot of great projects, and so we'll continue on, so that's what I have to say.
great. Well, under mayor's report, I just wanted to let you all know that last week we met with Jonathan Lewis and Josh Hamlick from the hospital. Danielle, myself and Doug Franham and Sandy. You know, we all had to sit down to talk about their microgrid project. What logistics would need to be done on our part, and yeah, it just sounds like a really worthwhile project they got going on over there, and their communication's been really good between the hospital and the different city departments to make sure that everybody's on the same page with it. It's just been real fascinating to learn about that project anyway. Something exciting coming up for us. Also wanted to let everybody know the city, along with the city council events committee, we've been working with the group planning community days already for this year. Community days will be on July 11th and 12th, the second weekend of July. We just got a lot of fun events and activities coming up and we're planning out. It's been really exciting. And just wanted to put it out there, anybody on the city council or within who can hear my voice right now, like to be involved in community days, like some input, you know, reach out to one of us on the events committee or myself, and we surely could point you in the right direction. There's always lots of room for plenty of volunteer, or if you just had ideas. The same offer goes out to any city employee. I've already sent emails to all the department heads, and we're really getting some good response from some of the folks that work for the city that, you know, want to be involved in community days. So it's been worthwhile. So anyways, that was all I had. I'll move on to the next item, open public comment. Is there anybody here or on the line that would like to make a public comment? Yes, yes, Roger?
Yeah, I just wanted to say to Danielle, if you need publicity on that, please let me know, because I can help with both radio and newspaper anytime.
Awesome,
Oh,
that would be wonderful. A couple of years ago, I went on the radio and said it, but it was like 6 a.m. I don't even know why I was awake. But yeah, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, and if you don't want to get up, just give it to me. I'll write the story and they'll run the story.
No, I'm teasing. I would be happy to get up and get that early for something that
Okay.
important.
All right, thanks.
Thank
Roger.
you.
Anybody else on the line that would like to make a public comment? No hands up. Okay, great. Well, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move.
Second.
A motion and a second to adjourn. Any discussion? All in favor?
Hi.
Thanks. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Hey, over half of 35 minutes. Pretty
That's
good.
not bad.
Yeah.